Alex Answer here. It's August 7th, 2012. And in this video, I'm going to take the time to plant some seeds and hopefully provide some of you with some additional clues that you may want to be looking for in your own investigations into what is happening right now on Earth. And there is a very direct and intentional reason why I named my show Outside the Box, the show I started in 2005. I never wanted to put myself into a box where the things that I'm talking about, the things that I'm discussing, the types of guests that I have on the show, I never wanted that to be co-opted by a belief system, even my own limited belief system or understanding of reality. Because ultimately, this is more than looking at the 5 sense level of the conspiracy or a conspiracy run by men. It truly is a quest. Many of us are on this quest to understand not only who we really are, but why we are in this strange realm. Now, I'm going to suggest that you take some time, if your mind is open, and you look at the different mythological stories that exist around the world, separated by thousands of miles and thousands of years, indicating a similar tale, similar myths, and of course, myth or mythologies are not necessarily meant to be taken as something that is fiction or something stemming from the human imagination. In many cultures, a myth was something to be taken literally. And over time, man has passed on the truths about where we come from, why we're here, through the oral tradition. And it is through the oral tradition that these truths are passed on from generation to generation. And it still exists today. So you're seeing a lot of different things happening around you. From changes to the weather, not only natural causes, but artificial, man-made causes, contributing factors, things like HAARP and other things. Geoengineering, terraforming, chemtrailing. There's many different levels of manipulation going on right now in ways that the Earth's energy is being affected by these changes. And so we do know that these things are taking place, and that in the mythologies of the past, there were stories in Atlantis, for example, about alleged advanced forms of technology being used to also control the weather, manipulate the Earth's energy, and ultimately manipulating the minds of the people that the Atlantis Empire had conquered. Now, there's a lot of different stories that you might want to look at about these mythological creation stories about Nephilim, giants, fallen gods, creating mankind to be their slaves. And you see this in Genesis in the Old Testament. And there's many different interpretations of this. But you have this reoccurring story. You have the Sumerian text where Enki is creating the first man, or Adamu. And Eve is taken from the rib. This is a story that some of you are already familiar with. There is likely a reason why we keep seeing this mythology story of creation, repeated again across the planet, separated by thousands of years and thousands of miles. The story is in China. The story is in Japan. The Darwinistic worldview is a part of what I call the artificial construct. This is a new idea. This is a new idea as in the last couple hundred years to 500 years, this Darwinistic worldview that we came literally from the ponds, from the waters, and we just began to evolve into what we are today. And we know that in the last 10 years, 20 years, there's been a major increase in scientific evidence that contradicts that official story. There isn't any real evidence that shows how mankind as we are today evolved from the Neanderthal. And there's other people that go and do deeper levels of discussions in the area of chromosomes, the missing chromosomes that the modern Homo sapien is missing. You know, there's so many things that I think are important to investigate right now if you're really looking for the truth. But whether you're looking at the creation story, whether you're looking at the truth about what the Garden of Eden was really all about, and which God was the true God in that story, or whether you're looking at the days of Noah. You're hearing a lot of this today, as in the days of Noah, because we're looking around today at genetic engineering. We're looking at advanced sciences being used to control people's minds. Again, altering genetics, advanced forms of warfare. And this chimera, crossbreeding, genetic manipulation, it is some scary stuff. And we know, we feel in our hearts, they should not be tampering with the divine creator's work, the true creator. And what we're seeing now is a planet. I believe that we are moving into a planet, a reality here, where you don't know if the person next to you is fully human. Because I'm starting to suspect, and as I've been suspecting for a while, that this system is not run by Homo sapiens. It's not run by humans. However, it is a system that is run off of a significant amount of Homo sapien mind slaves that don't know what they're doing and why they're doing it, and that they're acting on behalf of these other controllers. You can even call them Archons. And to bring you up to speed with this term Archons, and obviously I have no notes in this brief talk that I'm giving, but it's something that I want to delve into more and more and understand more and more. It's something I've been researching and watching videos on more and more. And up until now, most people that have been fascinated with the intervention theory, the idea that something intervened in our world, i.e. Nephilim, fallen gods, and spawned humanity as we know it. The Archons are not something that everyone is familiar with, and they were talked about by the Gnostics, the group that was heavily persecuted by the Roman Catholic Church. Now, many people are in agreement that this Roman Catholic Church has hijacked the concept of spirituality or the concept of God to do their own bidding. And I don't believe the Bible is a work of truth that has not been altered by wicked men. I believe that the Bible to a certain degree has been altered, and we are reading it today in English, and I think that when it was actually written, it was written in another form, and it's been reinterpreted many times, likely by people that sought to take the true teachings, warp them for their own particular agendas. And what I think that we're seeing a wake-up call on a spiritual level on the earth is that there is a loving creator that has created this matrix for us to reside in order for us to face great challenges, temptation. It's a massive test that you can liken to a biological video game. And in this artificial construct, we are seeing countless humans, billions of humans, worshiping what they think at times is God, but may be a counterfeit extraterrestrial that for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, through magical powers and spacecrafts and different works of so-called, again, perceivable magic, humans have been convinced to give up their power, to turn towards conformity and even racism. The Christians against the Jews and the Jews against the Christians. These groups strategically played off against one another. And this entire time you have people fearing the angry, abusive, wicked God. And I want to propose the idea that this has been a part of the alien agenda to turn people away from the true God and even the true teachings of Jesus. Now, going back to the Gnostics, this was early Christianity, and it's been said that Jesus was a Gnostic, that the 12 disciples of Christ went on to preach the Gnostic teachings. There's even the Gospel of Thomas. And I found a book at the half-price books not too long ago where the things that he is writing about, it makes so much sense. And it is like night and day comparing the way Thomas is writing about the connection between man and the Christ consciousness, talking about the true teachings. It's very different than anything I've ever heard before when people are referencing Jesus Christ. And when people are very passionate about their beliefs, that much is true. And from my experience, since I've been on this planet that we collectively choose to call Earth, of all the people that I know that choose to call themselves Christians, they all seem to have their own interpretation of what is being said in the Bible. Some of them are open to the idea that there are off-world controllers on Earth. Some of them are not. Some of them are open to the idea that it happened before in the past, but it's not going to happen again, or it's not happening right now as I speak to you. And I'm saying to you that when we look at the terraforming of the planet, the genetic engineering, these staged wars, this surveillance society that we are adamantly against, we are talking about Satan's rule on Earth. Satan being the top head honcho Archon on Earth, a fallen god, an earthbound, non-interdimensional, an earthbound wicked consciousness, a dark grid of a control is happening right here on Earth, that we are being ruled by something. And this something that's being ruled, that's ruling over the Earth right now, and I think it's being allowed to by the true Creator so his children can grow and become better souls, more compassionate. And when we do things in this world and the effect of our ways come back to us, I believe there's a learning that takes place. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. There's many humans on this earth that haven't yet come to that truth. They're running around abusing people, murdering people, stealing from people, and in many, many occasions and times, they're doing it in the name of religion. That is wicked. That is control, that is manipulation, and it's also based in fear. Because you don't have to live like that when you understand that there is abundance everywhere on this planet. When you learn how to be grateful for the things that you have, the air, how you learn how to harness the forces of nature in a more mindful, intelligent, peaceful, and grateful way. This is something that many humans are here to learn how to do. And I think that these challenges that are coming in the future, the potential of the solar flares, removing electricity as we know it from our hands. Do you realize, and I'm sure many of you do, how powerful some humans are going to be at the other end of the experience of that event? It could be years down the line, but it's an inevitable reality that massive groups of humans will come together, develop communities, local bartering systems, massive farms, and establishing ways of defending their communities and defending people around their communities, developing these agreements from invading tribes, from invading armies, from dark forces. It's something very much out of Lord of the Rings at times. And so I believe that there is a lot of good coming from these challenges that mankind is facing, from these things that these demonic, extraterrestrial, Archon influences have brought to Earth. So we've talked about Jesus and this concept that not everyone knows the full story of what he was talking about, what those around him were saying, and the raids and the persecution of the Gnostics, and it's in the number to the tune of, I believe, millions. And there's a lot of people that have done a lot of research on this, and I suggest that you take a look at this and you start to question what's actually going on Earth right now, and how does this play into what has